The QPR podcast is in association with 101greatgoals.com. For post-match Premier League press conferences, FIFA 15 videos, freestyle clips and much more, subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/101greatgoalsyt.
QPR, QPR, Twin Park Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR, now we're heading for European Cup.
Hello and welcome to the QPR podcast. I'm David Fraser. I'm here with a collection of other QPR fans. Clive Whittingham from Loft for Words.
Evening, hello.
Evening, that's about as positive as Clive will get, I suspect,
Yeah.
as the evening wears on. Then we have BT Sport's very own Christopher Charles.
Hello.
Hello, Chris.
Hello, David.
You seem surprised by that intro.
Yeah, I was surprised that you actually managed to remember where I work this week.
I know.
I mean, I
It's the
don't
double
remember where I work some
Chris's
weeks,
and-
but
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
no, well done.
And Funky Flowers, Paul Finney.
Hello.
How are you, Paul?
Oh yeah, particularly very, really happy. Couldn't be happier. Get on with it.
I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. And also, sitting next to Gabe, our wonderful engineer, is we have a guest tonight. We have Eric from Sweden, who is a QPR fan, but is here in a journalistic capacity. Don't ask us why, but...
It was his first game, I believe, on his first Premier League game on Saturday. Is that right? And probably his last.
You know you're interviewing someone who doesn't have a microphone in
Yeah,
front of
okay.
them.
But I'll tell you, can I just mention that he's got a T-shirt which says "Against Modern Football"? Could you just explain that one?
We're all against modern football.
Yes, I am a bit afraid of the development within football, which I see in a lot of countries, which we managed to keep out of the Swedish league because of the system we have. And I usually wear this in my Swedish game to make statements against the modern football.
Okay, well, that's fine.
deep.
I'm against modern football as well, to be honest.
be fair,
particularly if it happens at Loftus
To be
Road.
fair, I stuck in beside Paul Hull on Saturday. Did you enjoy yourself for Paul, by the way? Paul's a nice fella, but he does shout a lot during
Did he
games.
bring Emu with him?
Oh dear. I bet he's never heard that before. I bet he's probably switched the podcast off now so we can carry on. Crack on. Right, let's talk about Saturday. For God's sake, get away. Clive.
It may as well have been a defeat, right?
Well, yeah, to all intents and purposes, we may as well have lost it 3-0.
Can someone just explain why you played four centre halves? That's
I
what
think-
about the moment.
well-
if I understand that, I might understand the tactics. I don't know.
I think you can make an argument maybe for starting. I mean, the 4 centre-back thing is maybe because he's expecting West Ham to come in, be big and physical and, just Sam Allardyce-y. I think more of the problem was the defensiveness of the midfield. Because obviously Carl Henry started wide left against Chelsea to very good effect, but then Chelsea are, sadly a decent team with a very attacking fullback down that side. And West Ham are neither a good team nor with an attacking fullback down that side. So it restricted us to going basically purely through Phillips, who was playing against one of the best left-backs in the Premier League, who incidentally we could have had very cheaply from Ipswich at any point over the last 4 years while we were busy, signing Jose Basingua and getting kids on loan from Man United and whatever. But Cresswell's obviously very good and he really nullified Phillips. So, the midfield tactics didn't really work out. I can see the argument for getting into the game and getting a foothold in it, because if you think about our London Derby record, which I've got in front of me and will furnish you with shortly.
Is that what you've got on a scrap?
Research.
You've torn off a bit of an envelope
Yeah.
and you've got some scribbles on it.
Our London Derby
yeah.
record in the Premier League over the last 3 years, he's played 29, lost 19, drawn 5, won 5, conceded 46, including on 2 separate occasions 6 in a single game, and scored 18. So maybe the idea was get in the game, don't be out of it before it's even begun, like we were at Palace, and then bring Fur on, and go for it
Why
at
do
the
you
end.
say that? But we beat Arsenal, Spurs, and Chelsea twice.
Not with this team.
No, I'm saying London Derby record. I know it sounds bad, but the games we've won, the games you wouldn't expect us to win.
Fantastic. But in games like Saturday against teams like West Ham, Palace and whatever, we have frequently just rolled over and often been out of them before they've even started. So maybe he was thinking, we'll get a foothold in the game, we've got Fur to come on for the last 20 minutes and, we'll increase the momentum. But it just never happened. They couldn't increase the tempo. It just died. It absolutely died a sad death, basically.
But you've got a better eye than me because I'm squinty. Let's forget that for 2 seconds.
Right.
But it seemed to me when we were taking corners and free kicks, there was an awful lot talking to the bench as if
Do we go? Do we not go?
They would actually were they properly told
Yeah.
what to do with the tactics? It looked to me like everyone was like it was on the hoof. Oh, forgive me the pun. It was like, what do we do now? What do we do now? What do we do now? It wasn't like didn't look they were drilled.
West Ham made 3 or 4 changes from last week. Maybe that caught us on the hop.
Did I see that?
No. You said forgive the pun, and I was trying to work out what the pun
Hoof,
was.
because we kept hoof the ball.
We are working with what we've
Yeah.
got with the hoofing.
Yeah.
You know, we've got Zamora and Austin.
Can you want to come back in again, David?
No, go on.
All right.
Carry on, Clive. Sorry.
Yeah, we are working with what we've got to a degree, but I thought that was his intention, that we would up the tempo and just make sure we were in the game. But the tempo, there was just no tempo to it at all. Charlie Austin got his head down after the penalty miss. There was nothing to it. You know, it looked like 0-0 from miles and miles before the end. It was a dreadful, dreadful game of football.
If anything, they looked more dangerous in the break than we did. If we're going to be,
They had just as many chances that we could have easily lost, but you know, it wouldn't have made any difference. A draw's as good as a loss, isn't it?
But everyone says a disallowed goal, which was a goal, clearly a goal.
The only time I've ever seen that sort of goal given, was the Rob Green one against West Brom a couple of years ago at Christmas.
Okay.
But that goal gets disallowed 99 times out of 100. That doesn't make it right. It just
true.
does.
And an outstanding save towards the end from Adrian, from Matt Phillips.
Adrian!
From Adrian.
He's
I mean,
he's
that
a good
was
keeper,
a
isn't he?
great
Chris is
save.
still in the room then.
Sorry.
He is actually one of the
Just
best goalkeepers I've seen, to be fair. You know, he won't be there next season. I don't
He's
think.
having a fantastic season.
Good player.
Yeah.
Then again, Allardyce will be there next season. So that's the thing that got me. It didn't look, they were playing for the manager. They didn't look up for it, and we just didn't seem to know how to control the game, go for it. I'd have gone 3 at the back and just gone 3 up front. Just gone for it. Just ran at them.
He
Well,
said,
I mean-
said before the game, front foot, blood and thunder, and there just wasn't any of that, was there?
Well, I don't think Carl Henry and left wing belong in the same sentence. And for a variety.
Certainly not having seen his tweets.
Well, yeah, exactly, for a variety of reasons.
It was
but
quite funny. I did
I
laugh.
think against West Ham, I agree. Yeah, Chelsea. Okay, maybe that is quite literally a different ball game. But against West Ham, I think it's that stage of the season when a point is no good to us. A point at home to West Ham is no good to us. And why Tarabt is on the bench and doesn't get a look in, I don't know. I mean, I know it's the age.
I know,
old.
but I know you two are
You
absolute
two.
massive fans
Yeah,
of
no,
Tarab.
You
but it's
guys.
not-
Singled out again, Chris, for
Yeah,
no reason
no,
whatsoever.
but
Except
You'll still be saying that in 3 years' time. He'll have left us three
No,
seasons ago. I don't know
okay,
why we
well,
didn't play Tarapto on Saturday.
who else could change a game then?
Yeah,
Who else could change a game?
What I'm saying is,
Well,
persevering
at the
with
moment,
Henry
Matt
for the
Phillips
whole.
seems to be giving it a pretty good go. At
Yeah,
trying
I
to do
know,
that.
but come on, David. I mean,
But-
are you going to play Henry left? Or are you going to bring Adele in, give him a proper role, and give ourselves a chance for a
But
killer
we
pass?
have had 4 different managers now that don't pick him.
Yeah,
I don't care.
But what's
It's
the
worth
point?
it-
There
it
is
must win game
something
like
going on with that boy at
He's
training,
nuts.
or his attitude, or whatever. There is something going
No,
on. That means
I-
they don't. I don't understand why you would leave him on the bench with an unused sub in a game you need to win either.
Exactly.
There must be a reason.
No, and I mean, I
bonkers,
totally
The
get all
reason
that,
is
but
that,
surely it's worth a gamble. I can't remember, it was early this season. He came on for the last 10 minutes and created more in that 10 minutes than we'd seen in the whole match. Okay, he didn't score, he didn't set up a winner, but what I'm saying is, surely for the last 20 minutes, he's going to be more effective than Carl Henry when you're trying to win a game. And
In
nothing
theory,
against Carl
yeah.
Henry, he's done a brilliant job for us this season. But he's not going to be the one. I mean, he's had one brilliant goal, but he's not going to be
Yeah.
the bloke who
He's not going to do a
who
40-yard
creates
pass,
your
is he?
chance.
In theory, I completely agree with you. And Tarapto, I thought, was our best player at Burnley and was probably our best player at Palace, best of an awful
Yeah.
bunch. But there must be he's not. Ramsey's not standing there
Well, he's
thinking.
bonkers, isn't he?
He's not standing there thinking, "Oh, if I bring Adele on, we might win." But I'm not going to just
But-
for the hell of it. There
but-
must be a reason.
Okay, but why put him on the bench then?
Numbers. Why put Sean Wright-Phillips on the bench? He never even. Sean Wright-Phillips didn't even warm up. I mean, he was literally there because we had to name however many subs. You know.
But it's not this is the whole essence of what really, I can't swear, can I? I get frustrated about, because this season there's been so many bad managerial decisions by Redknapp and by Ramsey, and I like Chris Ramsey. I think he's a proper gentleman. He does things properly, but the West Ham kid on loan was a complete mess up that you wouldn't expect a conference side to
Zarate.
make.
That's
You know, little things that we keep doing the same mistakes time after time after. Rio Ferdinand brought in.
Makes a mockery of this idea that we've learned.
Yeah,
we
we've
keep
actually-
saying we've learned.
The
you know,
lessons
and
this season will be saying we've learnt them lessons, but it's too late. This is the thing that we and the club need to come out and be honest. We need to understand what's going to happen with this fan. We need to understand what's going to happen next season, because not only will we lose the TV money, we're going to get hammered as well, and we're going to get hammered when players. And I know a lot of players are out, but there's still people.
Well, as far as that's concerned, I mean, they're probably not in a position to come out and speak on that because I don't think anybody knows what's happening with that.
But I think what Paul says is right. Is there is the uncertainty around the place is not just about the division we're going to be in. We don't know what our squad is going to look like. We don't know what the finances are going to look like. Anything. If the final point I'd make on Carl Henry on the left wing is that thanks to Harry and his wheeling, dealing, and his agent friends, we haven't had a left winger all season. We have struggled all season for left wing. We've picked Fur there, Cranchar there. I mean, Cranchar at Villa was a disaster on that side. So you can sort of see why he's gone down a safe route. But like you say, it was a game we needed to win.
Well, that's what I mean. I think, go for a safe route. If it's 3 or 4 games ago when we just needed something on the board to build on, or keep the momentum going. But in terms of this game, I mean, it was do or die, shit or whoops, that's what I was going to say.
By the way, the only reason why we're trying to keep the swearing out is not because we're being very schoolmasterly or whatever. It's because the iTunes rating gets affected if we get an explicit.
No, the thing
rating.
was though, I
carry on.
I was going to further torture.
I was going to say that word and then
exactly.
think I was aware of it, but I got it the wrong way. I was going to say that word and then think of another word for bust.
They will have missed it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It kind of ruins a passion, though, doesn't it? You're in the middle of a thrust of mourningness.
But I think
just do him. Do
but
the
thing. The thing with Ramsey is that I don't know. But my opinion on whether I want him as manager next season changes on a game to game basis.
He has one brilliant game.
Yeah,
Villa, West Brom, even Chelsea we lost.
Yeah,
and then he has a Palace.
I know, and he for all the good he's done. I mean, he has had a few stinkers. Sticking Phillips out on the left, and albeit he sort of corrected that eventually. I mean, Furlong. I mean, it's all. I know we can be wise after the event, but putting him up against Sanchez maybe not the best idea he's ever had. But equally, he's done some good stuff. He's brought back. I mean, you were talking, Clive, about how the atmosphere at away games has improved since Redknapp's gone because people aren't quite so angry. And I think he's brought
that may be to do more with the fact and I can't even think of a swear word that isn't a swear word. For Redknapp.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just to do with the fact that horrible has gone.
But I mean, I think
rather than because Chris Ramsey has
that horrible.
Arrived.
But I think it's more to just picking a team. It's giving the youth the chance, albeit sometimes maybe in the wrong games. But it's generally bringing a bit of the feel-good facts back, which sounds ridiculous when we're in a relegation scrap. I know, but people
because
are starting
the form's
to
no better, is it?
Yeah,
it's just not Redknapp. It's just not Redknapp.
Yeah.
So
and he comes. I'm sure he's sick of being described as a nice guy, but he does come across as a nice fella who cares about the club. But yeah, I just. Like you say, I mean, 1 minute you think, he should definitely do it next season, and then you see something like Saturday. And
the thing is, I go back to what I was saying. The players didn't look prepared for the game Saturday. I'm not blaming the manager for that. I don't know what went wrong, but there was a lot of times in that game when people were just looking blankly at each other. And if you can't beat a West Ham side that poor on that pitch and that performance, then you can't argue if you get relegated.
We couldn't have picked 2 better home games to finish with than West Ham and Newcastle. And we've just been a right pig's ear with the first one.
We've got Simon Barker on the phone. We're going to go to him in a minute. Quick question: would we have more than 27 points if Harry Redknapp was our manager?
Even if we would or we wouldn't, it'd be a couple in either direction. Who cares? I'm just. We would have gone down.
It's irrelevant.
They should have gone down. You can't.
They should have been brave and sacked Redknapp after the playoff final. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but a lot of people said at the time, and someone at the club wanted to do it. They were stopped from doing it.
It was dangerous. I think when Harry Redknapp's saying, when we went down to 10 men, I was thinking about what golf club I was going to join and I was going to go, but now we're back in the Premier League, I'll stay and give it a bit of a go. That's an alarm right there. I think the West Ham away game was a big... That was a point when he could have gone.
Yeah.
And Burnley away, maybe, that would have at least given us some transfer window, but...
You could argue any away game up to Sunderland, you should have gone, really, couldn't you?
But in the answer to that question, I mean, I think we'd probably be 7 points down already against Sunderland, Villa, and West Brom because I don't think we'd have won. I think
we'd have lost all 19 away games.
Yeah,
the way Redknapp approached.
So I think it's. It's hypothetical.
The trouble is, Redknapp never got us. He'd never seemed, and maybe he didn't come across very well. He didn't put himself across. He didn't seem that he wanted to really be here. He was clearly there because he was on a big salary. He was using the same agents that he used at Portsmouth and Southampton and West Ham. But the players are an awful lot older. They're not young anymore, and just going for the same agents, the same players For whatever reason, I don't know.
Oh yes, why on earth could he have done that? Did you see the stat that came out last week that last season?
I am being sarcastic, by the way.
When we were in the Championship,
Yeah.
we had the 8th highest wage bill in the country.
Oh, yeah.
As a Championship team.
Yeah.
And all this, and he gave it every week. Well, I don't know why we should be favourites for promotion. We've had to get rid of 20 players. We've had to cut costs and whatever. We spent 75 million quid last season on wages and players. We lost 75 million and whatever our turnover is on top of that. So we actually spent more than 75 million. We're the 8th biggest wage bill in the country, and we squeaked up in the way that we did. All the while, Redknapp going hard, very hard league. Huddersfield, good team. Huddersfield.
We're not in that league this year, though.
Huddersfield won the league title.
Not sure we'd even get
The
top
sad,
8.
the sad thing is, I know we want to go to Barker in a minute, but do you know what the sad thing is? It wasn't that hard of a division to stay up this year, to be fair.
No, it's not.
You're right.
Decent purchase power, decent players, decent management situation, we would have stayed up easily.
Some very poor teams just above us.
So have we accepted our fate now? Are we,
Well, I have.
Let's come back to that.
Okay.
Let's come back to that. One thing is for certain, if we get nothing from our next 2 away games, we have to be down because you're not going to stay up on maximum.
Must win.
Exactly. You're not going to stay up on maximum 33, which is what we would get if we didn't get anything from our next 2 away games. Man City in a fortnight, but this weekend, Liverpool. How do you beat Liverpool? We have beaten them before at Anfield. QPR won there 24 years ago. Simon Barker was in that team, and he is waiting for us now. Simon, help us finish the following sentence. We can win on Saturday by...
hard work, attention to detail, and luck.
And signing Jesus.
I wouldn't say we're grabbing onto sort of any semblance of hope we can, but you know how to win at Anfield in a QPR shirt. Tell us how you did it in 1991. It was 3-1. Goals from, if we haven't got it wrong, Ferdinand, Wilson and Wegley, I think. How did you do it?
Again, hard work, skill, teamwork, and luck. We had some very good players in those days. Very, very good players. We had Les Ferdinand, which always made a massive difference for us. Somebody who could score goals, could create goals. Roy Wegley, Andy Sinton, very, very creative players, and always could get you a goal. I remember at the time, actually, we had Andy Tilson and Darren Peacock, who'd come from lower leagues, who were playing centre-half, along with Danny Maddox. So Rufus Brevitt as well had come from lower leagues as well. So we had quite a sort of new side at the time as well, alongside just sort of myself and Ray Wilkins in midfield. So... But, we were playing very well. I mean, Liverpool were playing very well. If I remember rightly, I think they'd won the previous week 7-0 or 7-1 against Derby, and were top of the league at the time. So it was always a difficult place to go and play, as it is now, really, whenever you go to Anfield, and has obviously been seen since. But we had good players, and we played well, defended well, and as you say, talking about that attention to detail as well, which maybe might be the reason why QPR have lost so many points that probably would have kept the club up this season if many of those either draws or defeats were turned into draws and wins.
Well, when you say attention to detail, what do you mean? What level of detail makes the difference between getting a result like that?
I must say, I'm up in Manchester now, and I don't see all the games that QPR play. I see the highlights when I'm watching it. But, just simple things like even against the Chelsea, I think it was the Chelsea game, the ball from the goalkeeper goes up in the air, and it's not quite... and he had a great game, really had a good game, Rob Green, if I remember rightly, and... it goes up in the air, and suddenly, they're on the attack last minute and score the goal. QPR should have won the game without a doubt. It should have been 3 points, but you get the point, and that extra point gives you a chance of actually staying up. And it just seemed to me, from looking afar, that there's been too many games this season where Rangers have played very, very well, but either not got the win or not got the draw that they need, and those points just add up over the season until now. There's 4 games to go. I think it's 4 games, and you run out of games, and you suddenly. I think Chris Ramsey said he needed to win 3 games out of 4, and that's going to be very, very difficult, especially playing away at Liverpool and Man City.
Hi, Simon. It's Chris here. How you doing?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, very good. Thanks. Very good.
Yeah. I just wondered. I mean, you had. I think you played probably double the games for QPR than you did any other team. Certainly 300 plus, if I remember rightly. And you were. I mean, we'll come on to the lows of relegation in a bit, but. You were in the team that finished top team in London, 93. We had, I think, 3 top 10 finishes, several, 11, 12, 13. You said we were a good team, but I mean, when we finished 5th and, beat off the likes of Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, because it wasn't just, on paper, those squads probably had a better team. So what was it that managed to galvanise us and to get us to where we were?
Good question. I believe we had good players. I keep going back to that, but it is about having good players. And I suppose you can have good players, but you need a good team spirit as well. We had a very, very good team spirit. Rangers Stadium, Loftus Road, was a great stadium to play in. Even now I speak to people. Paul Allen, who works for works for the PFA, who played for Spurs. He always said that he used to love playing at QPR because it was such a tight stadium. The crowd were right on top of you. It was a great atmosphere, and that still happens today. I went down for the QPR Man City game, and it was that extra man, the Loftus Road crowd. It was absolutely buzzing the place, and I think that was the same then. But we did have some very, very good players. I mean, I always talk about the first line of attack is your fullbacks, and we had 2 of the best fullbacks in the game, which was David Bardsley and Clive Wilson. And they were different class, great ability, great athletes, the pair of them. People like Darren Peacock and Danny Maddox and Alan McDonald, were good quality centre halves. Had a very, very good midfield over the years that we were there as well. Myself and Ray Wilkins and Ian Holloway, good midfield players. And then, we also had people like Andy Sinton, who was a very, very good winger, Andy Impey, Trevor Sinclair later on. They were good players. And then obviously, that era that I played in for the most part was Les Ferdinand, who had everything. I mean, to have a player like Les in your side just gave you the opportunity to win games because he'd score so many goals. And then we had people like Roy Wegerle and Gary Penrice and many players over the years. Bradley Allen always chipped in with goals as well. They were good players. We had a good team spirit, and as you said, until '96 when we went down, we were never in a relegation fight. I don't ever remember being in a relegation fight. You might, maybe have some stats to tell me something different, but I don't remember that.
Simon, this is a question sort of football wide at the moment, but particularly relevant to QPR, who've obviously got 2 very difficult away games coming up. When you were playing in the early days of the Premier League, did you ever go into away games at the bigger teams thinking, well, we'll put everybody behind the ball and try and get a 0-0? Because it looks to me, I see it, time and again, clubs in the middle of the Premier League who have sort of no hope of winning the Premier and just want to stay in. They seem to have this attitude to the difficult away games of, well, we'll just see how long we can keep it a 0-0 and maybe we'll get a draw. Was there that attitude when you were playing, or did you thought you could win every game?
I think think it depends on the team itself, and how you feel. There's certain times when you're not playing well, and if you went to, I don't know, I'm trying to remember back in those days, if you went to a Manchester United at Old Trafford, it was difficult. You did have people behind the ball, but you'd catch them on the break, and you'd try and utilise your set plays. And then put pressure. If you could get a goal, then the pressure of the home fans on the home team. So yeah, no, I don't think it was anything different. I mean, I remember the Liverpool game that we talked about, and the famous Man United result 4-1. We were playing very, very well at the time, and I remember going into both those games very, very confident because we had such good players and we played good football. But there's many other games where we would play defensively and put lots of people behind the ball, but we always felt we had the chance of getting a goal if you had somebody like a Les Ferdinand up front. So I don't think that's changed that much. And you look at Chelsea now, and Chelsea go and play against the top 4 or 5 teams, and they go and play very defensive and catch on the break, and it's very, very successful for them. But they've got very, very good defensive players, and it's that attention to detail that I talk about that makes a difference between winning and losing.
Simon, it's Paul here. It's interesting you say about the players we had, but that was no accident. We had a really, really good youth structure. We had a fantastic scouting network, if I remember it. Well, we did. It was proven because we could sell the likes of Andy Sinton, bring in Trevor Sinclair, etc., and find the players that would fit in easily. And the one thing that I got as well, we had strong characters because they'd been at the club for an awful long time, and I think that really helps. Whereas at the moment with QPR, we seem to have a revolving door transfer scenario all the time, and every transfer window we build a new squad. Sometimes, is it stability? Were there strong characters in that dressing room most of the time that you were there?
When I played, I mean, lots of strong characters, really. You had the experience of an Alan McDonald, David Barnes, who had a lot of experience, was there for 9 years. I think I was there for 10 years. Macca was probably there for 13 years in the end. But, we had a lot of solidity there. And then we all, as you said, a lot of the youth players that came into the side, the Kevin Gallans, the Andy Impies, the Danny Dickios, who came into the side and did very, very well. Carl Reddy as well. There was a number of those players that came into the side, and they bought well. QPR bought very, very well. Andy Sinton, I remember, from Brentford, was a lot of money at the time, about 350,000, if I remember rightly. I came at £400,000, which was a club record fee at the time in the late 80s. We had lots of very good players, and we used to sell a player every 2 years. I remember, Andy Sinton went for a lot of money. I remember Paul Parker going, but we replaced Andy Sinton with a Trevor Sinclair. So that recruitment and selection is very, very important. And maybe if you look back now at Rangers, maybe the recruitment and selection has been up and down, maybe, and maybe more down than up. You look at Charlie Austin, that's been a great signing. They reckon that it's very, very difficult getting all your signings right, but you need to get at least 50% of those right, if not more. Now, I'm not so sure that has particularly happened. I don't think over the 3, 4, 5 years that QPR have been sort of going up and going down, and if the worst does come to the worst and Rangers are relegated this season, and hopefully that won't be the case, it's a very, very difficult league to get out of, that Championship, as QPR knew. With that playoff final against Derby, where really I think we all knew that Derby were by far the best side in that, and it was just a godsend to actually get back into the Premier League, but need to stay in the Premier League to keep building on staying in that league and keep attracting players while you're a Premier League side. I think it's all been said that if QPR do fall out of the Premier League, it's going to be difficult to hold on to the best players.
Simon, that scouting operation that we talked about back in the day, how did you come to move down from Blackburn? Because I heard a story, it may have even been from Jim Smith's book actually, that he tried to sign you about 18 months previously, and the Blackburn manager had said, "Oh, he's not ready yet, and I'll call you when he is ready." And then in about 18 months later, he picked the phone up and said, "He's ready now," and you got the move. What's your sort of recollection of that time and how you came to move south?
It was very different in those days, in the 80s. I mean, I didn't have an agent. Now, agents are always speaking to clubs and everybody knows what's going on if another club is interested. And sometimes that's a distraction. I mean, in my era in the sort of 80s when I was at Blackburn and signed for Rangers in 88, I didn't have an agent. Agents weren't really around at that time, so it was clubs speaking to clubs. So I must say I hadn't heard that. I knew that my old manager, which was Bobby Saxton at Blackburn, knew Jim Smith because Jim Smith was a former Blackburn manager, and I was playing for the under-21s at that time. So maybe that was, I don't know, I'd not heard that story that I wasn't ready or anything like that, but I wanted to get and play at the highest level with Blackburn at the time, but we failed, or Blackburn failed in the playoff semi-final against Chelsea, and then my contract was up, and then I had this opportunity to sign for Rangers, which was great for me. I just wanted to go and sort of test myself at the highest level. So it was a club record fee for Rangers, and it was a club record fee received by Blackburn as well. So I think it worked out well for everybody, although possibly my first season at Rangers didn't go to plan, and I didn't play half as much as I thought I was going to do, and I thought basically I wasn't going to be able to make it at that level or at that club, but it got better when Don Howe came to the club. He liked me as a player and got me in the side. When Trevor Francis was the manager, and then when he took over himself, my career sort of really, went on in leaps and bounds really. And I think that's important for most players when you've got a manager who actually believes in you and wants to play you. So I will always be indebted to Don Howe at Rangers because after my first year, I never thought I was going to be there for 10 years.
Hi, it's Chris again. Now we're all QPR fans here, and I think we're all agreed that sort of team, that era you played in, was one of the golden eras for QPR. Like I mentioned earlier, the top team in London, holding our own against the big boys. And you've also mentioned what great players you had. Now my question is, would any of the current QPR squad get into that team from back in the 90s?
Good question. It's very, very difficult because it was a totally different era. The game's moved on in different ways. Having said that, I must say I remember Don Howe bringing in the late 80s, 89, bringing in a nutritionalist, bringing in sports psychologists. We had a woman, used to come and work with us in the afternoon with regard to, plyometrics and things like that. So it was very much ahead of the game was done in that era. All stuff that's taken for granted now in this era. Players have so much more information now with Prozone and everybody who can help them with different areas. But good players would be good players in any generation, as long as they take on, with the pitches, the balls, the boots. So the good players of my era would definitely be good players in this era, without a doubt. It's a difficult one to say. Could any of the current team play in the team that I played in the 80s and the early 90s? It's just a very difficult one, that one. So all I would say is that I know that all the good players that I played with in that era would be very, very good players in this era. David Bardsley, Clive Wilson, Les Ferdinand, Roy Wegley, Ray Wilkins. I like to think myself, definitely Andy Sinton. Those players are good players who play in this era and would really, really improved the Rangers side of now.
Okay, that was nicely sidestepped there, Simon. Just leading on from that, you talk about the modern era. I mean, you've got all these players and our chairman on Twitter the whole time. I don't know what your opinions on that, but anyway, just thinking back to your days, which of that current squad would have had the most to say on Twitter, do you think, back then?
Oh, well, definitely Les Ferdinand. Of course he would do. I don't know whether he's on Twitter, is he, Les? He would, without a doubt, because he's a goal scorer. He was the star man of our side, without a doubt. I know who else is there that would be interested. I think definitely Les. Probably who else would there be? Paul Parker.
Alan McDonald used to have a bit to say, didn't he? Alan McDonald?
Alan McDonald, yes, without a doubt, yeah. He's making a few... I see Dave Bardsley on Twitter quite a bit, Andy Impey on Twitter quite a bit, Trevor Sinclair, definitely, I think would have been up there. But no, I think definitely Les would have been the main man with that.
Nice
but no, it's... I think the owner's great, and he uses that a lot with regard to his airline business. Football's very different. It's very emotive, and he talks to the fans and he talks to people. But it's difficult when you're losing games, and you're going to get people very bitter about things as well. I'm sure he looks back on lots of good decisions and lots of bad decisions. I think he's always had the club at his best interests at heart, without a doubt. But it's been very much a roller coaster few years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Simon, thank you very much for coming on. Just before we go, very quickly, will we do it? 4 games to go.
I don't like to say this, but I've been saying that Rangers need to keep picking points up, and they haven't. And my biggest worry now is that it might be too late. It might be too late. I wouldn't be saying that if I was the manager of the club or if I was in the dressing room, because you've got to believe. Once you stop believing, you've got no chance.
Don't worry, we'll edit that to make it sound like you said yes.
It's not going to happen. But then Leicester were out of it, so you never know. You never know.
One other thing, Simon. In all your time at QPR, you came down and you became one of us, and you wore that shit with pride. And seriously, thank you. And also, your testimonial was brilliant, by the way. One of the best laughs I've ever had.
Jamaica, right?
Yeah, but it was.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen so many stoned people in the loft ever.
You're not wrong. You haven't got a clue who I was, by the way. But
I think you were like a subplot the whole day. I think somewhere, Simon. But you were amazing for our club, and in a day when players come in for a lot of money, it's a shame we don't have the people that had your what you did on the pitch and had your mindset, because we could frigging do with them. But thanks ever so much what you've done for QPR. We do appreciate it, and you'll always be welcome back in the loft, and come for a pint one day.
That's very kind of you to say so, and it's much appreciated. And the club is very, very close to my heart, without a doubt. And I wish you all the very, very best. Fingers crossed, and you never know. You keep believing, and hopefully Rangers will stay up. All the best, lads.
Thanks,
Simon.
Simon.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
Guys.
Cheers.
All the best. Bye bye.
Top man. I forgot that was his testimony. I couldn't. This is the only time I've ever been in the school end. I couldn't get tickets because it sort of came to the party late and got in the school end. I couldn't even see the pitch. It was just this haze of smoke in the back there.
It was amazing.
Of course, I didn't inhale before anybody else.
But the thing is, it's interesting. He made a lot of good points there.
Yeah,
really good points. And him being the PFA, he knows more than football. But the thing is, he didn't have an agent. Manager's is a player ready? Yeah,
that story about him coming from Blackburn is true. That Jim Smith went to Blackburn to buy him, and the Blackburn manager said, "No, he's not ready for that yet." And he said, I'll call you when he is." And 18 months later, he rang Jim Smith and said, he's ready now. But the key thing to come out of that was that Don Howe got a woman to come and work with him in the afternoon. I think that's what we're missing.
Yeah,
I think we've answered all the
Finney,
questions.
We should do an app where you can press a button and you'll thank someone for everything they've done for the club. There's the Alan Partridge app, and you press it, and here he goes.
Well, it could have Dominic Iofor on. That'll never happen.
Yeah, you didn't do it with Ned Zelic either.
No.
If you've never listened to the Ned Zelic interview, I think we did it about 3 years ago. The guy who was
He did
here
his
for
best,
that.
didn't he?
Were you here that night?
No, I gave you his email address.
That's right. To be fair, he fronted up to it. He's like, "Yeah, mate, I
We
wasn't
ended
any
up inviting him
good."
down for a drink, didn't we?
He was great.
But the thing is, I mean, going back to
Yes.
we've got to people like Barker. Now it was proper scouting. It was we were planning to sell a player. We already had a placement lined up. Now it's completely backwards what we're doing. I mean, everyone talks about youth, but the thing is, that our youth has been so badly run for so many years now that it's going to take a long time to turn that around.
It's very galling seeing players like Aaron Cresswell. I found that really galling on Saturday, seeing a player that had been playing against us for Ipswich for years and just has been picked up by West Ham for £3 million, and everybody was saying for years, there's this guy here, and we've had Fabio at left back, we've had Ty Tawo at left back, we've been playing Clint Hill at left back, who's a centre back. You just think of some of the things we've done.
So I didn't mind Tawo,
while Aaron Cresswell has just been sitting
He
at
played when we
Ipswich.
did
I found
Liverpool.
it just
that
galling.
interview actually sums up the difference in scouting, because now we scout through. We get a player in on how well the agent can sell them. Whereas
it's
in
like
Simon
how well they know the
Barker's day,
manager.
there weren't any agents, so it was done on form and scouting and those traditional
Yeah,
things.
but you're missing one vital thing as well, David. QPR were known then as a team that would actually play players like that and give them a chance and a good stepping stone to go further on up. And that was another reason people like we got Guy Bannister, we got people like Simon Barker, we got Andy Sinton, we got all them players because people trusted us because we couldn't get it wrong in them days. We didn't have an awful lot of money. We had to get more or less 96% of transfers right.
I've got it in my head, the timings might not be right, I've got it in my head that the replacement for Paul Parker was Darren Peacock.
Darren
that
Peacock
right?
and Tilson.
I may not have the timing right.
Darren Peacock and Andy Tilson arrived at pretty much the same time
And
in
Brevitt
about
as well.
1990 when Bobby Gould came as assistant manager because we'd lost a whole load of players to injury, mostly centre-backs, and I think Parker was one of them that was injured.
Right.
And we were in a real bad run up to Christmas and we were bottom.
I'm sure it was Derby away.
Bobby Gould came as assistant manager and he got Tilson from Grimsby and Peacock from Hereford and Brevitt from Doncaster. And we beat Sunderland on like December the 20th-ish.
Only ish, Clive.
Attendance. What's the attendance?
Attention to detail, Clive.
We beat
The
them
manager's
3-2.
told
What did
you.
you have for your breakfast that day?
We beat them 3-2 and I think there were three
Stats.
penalties in the game. But it was Bobby Gould that brought them. But I think it was at the same time as Parker was there because I think Parker was one of the players that was injured. Maddox was injured. McDonald was injured. Parker was injured. We didn't have any centre-backs.
But the thing is now, it seemed to me, and you got to be honest, people are saying to the managers, we can't keep blaming Mark Hughes, we can't keep blaming Harry Redknapp, we can't keep blaming these people that come in. The board have got to take a lot of responsibility as well. I know we had Wembley, we went up, and it kind of masked a lot of things were wrong with the club. We had the most expensive team. We should have walked that league. Obviously, things seem to happen, and it was a fantastic day. You wouldn't sort for anything, but the board have got to grab the reins of this and just stop bullshitting the fans and actually start coming out, talking to the fans, have a fans forum, front it up, and just be honest because Rangers fans will forgive them. We will work together, but they've got to stop this. It's all right. Next game's a must game. Next game's next must win. It's over. Plan for next season, but get it right.
It'd be interesting if once it's confirmed, because last time it was confirmed, we continued picking Basinga and people like that. We didn't put Mackie back in the team. We didn't put Harriman in the team until the last game. If it does
I
get
think
confirmed,
that's a given that he'll if when etc. It's confirmed he's going to play the young players because he's desperate to, isn't he? I did want to.
I'll be in tool to.
A couple of things we need to get through because Gabe, the engineer, is giving me the international hand signal for hurry up. Just before we went
Was it
on
the same hand
interview-
signal that Ronnie O'Sullivan used during his victory yesterday?
I didn't see that.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay. Just before we went to the interview, you asked Chris. You said, "So do we all think it's over then?"
Yeah.
Do we all think it's over then?
We're going to win more games than we won pretty all season for last.
Well, we won 2 in 10, and all of a sudden now we need to win 2 to 3 in 4.
It would be so QPR to do that, but I don't.
it has been done before. Portsmouth and Fulham have done it before, and we said
Sunderland.
Wigan.
Wigan were masters at it for a couple of years.
Sunderland did it last season.
Yeah, so it's not
West
impossible.
Ham did it when Rob Green was there.
Yeah. They won at Man U on the last
But then
day.
for all those teams that have done it, I could name you 947 that haven't done it, and unfortunately,
Don't do it now because we haven't got very long to the end of the podcast.
Out of a team of 91, that's not bad.
Clive just looked at me and said, actually, it was 948.
Yes. Well, we did say in the pub on Saturday, wouldn't it be just like QPR to mess this one up and then win at Liverpool next week? So maybe that's what we're going to do.
It's a big ask. It's a big ask.
I think the thing is, I mean, if I was talking objectively about this, and somebody said, who's going to go down? I'll say, well, Burnley and QPR are gone, and then it's between. But I mean, that's, if you're looking at it rationally. But unfortunately, there's that bit about being a QPR fan, maybe being any football fan, that then you start to think, well, maybe we could win at Liverpool, and maybe we could get something at Man
It was that
City.
random West Brom game, because I thought, if we don't beat Everton, then it's pretty much all over.
Well, that's what they say. It's the hope that kills you, isn't it? And
the thing that annoys me more than anything is the amount of points we give away. I know I think it's about 18 points or something stupid we give away the last 10 minutes, whatever, and that's just down to attention to detail. What Simon Barker
and not being quite good enough.
We're not good enough.
We're not quite, are we? This week it's a penalty miss. The previous week it was something else.
But it's like Harry started the season. Oh, the Irish tour wasn't great, and I don't know what we did in Germany, but we went to Germany and that wasn't great either. Ireland was a bit rubbish as well. We should have played better teams. Blah blah. He organised it. Oh yeah. After about 5 or 6 games, nobody's fit.
Was that Harry Redknapp's Irish tour where he said the facilities were poor, and it turned out that he'd taken Tottenham to the same place?
Yes.
Like 3 years previous.
No. It's incredible, and also the sheer. Like you just mentioned it yourself. Like no young players. It's always the same old names, but also you do wonder: are we bringing names into the club that people as well as Redknapp wants as well because it sells airline tickets, because it does this, big names, we can market them in different ways as well. Are we buying players for the pitch? Are we playing for what they can do outside the pitch as well, which hasn't worked either?
I certainly think there's been a degree over obviously not in January, but previously I certainly think there was a degree of being on Sky Sports News in our Air Asia baseball caps on deadline day was a good thing, and we had people piling in. Yes, I really do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cheap advertising.
Absolutely. Well. There's no football reason to be signing 7 or 8 new players every transfer window. There just isn't. However badly run your club is, and our club is badly run.
No, but Harry was addicted to deals, wasn't he?
Yeah, but Mark Hughes hasn't been at other clubs, and every deadline day we have been piling players in through the door, and I do think there was a degree of it's good to, we're on Sky Sports, top of the spending thing, good for publicity. I do think there was a degree.
Well, the Hughes thing, I mean, I think that was more to the fact that he shared, his agent was Kia Jarabchian.
I think there was an element of that as well, but I don't. Do you think Mark Hughes wanted Ji-sung Park to be captain, just as an example plucked out of thin air?
No, well, that is a very obvious one, and I think that would have happened at quite a few other clubs.
I think we would say no. You need someone to say no to manager as well. You need someone who is in the boardroom, who's got a CEO, I don't care whoever, to come in and say you're not having him. You work with what you've got.
Well, it feels like they have learnt that after 4 or 5 years. Potentially, why Harry went. I mean, obviously his knee, etc.
I mean,
you know that knee.
Pray for Harry.
They've learned a £200 million missing that we have got nothing to show for, and the fans certainly Wembley, as I keep going on about, was a brilliant day. We all know that. We're not going to argue about that. But we spent £200 million. We've got nothing to show for it. Another relegation. I mean, the fans do not deserve another relegation. We had to stay in the league this season because the Football League, after falling and all that with that, are going to be rubbing their hands when we get relegated because they're going to absolutely hammer us when we go down to the Championship.
Does anyone in this room genuinely think that we just might do it?
Not anymore, sadly. I don't think we'll get hammered on the financial fair play thing. I think lawyer costs and things like that. I just think it'll all disappear into smoke and mirrors.
The cost for the lawyers will be far less than like any increased loss from us going down.
They've basically
they'll spend what they need to on lawyers.
They've admitted themselves, the Football League, because they've changed the rules. They've admitted that the rules they were working under, that they want to punish us under, were unworkable. So I think we'll be able to get some fancy high-priced lawyer who will get us out of that. But isn't that sad, really? That's the sort of thing that other clubs do that pisses me off.
But also, that
we've done so well.
£200 million.
He said one. He had one slip out.
I said one accidentally
10 minutes ago.
when I said the wrong word.
But there's also nothing being built for the fans either. There's no youth system properly put in place. There's no Loftus Road hasn't been upgraded that much that anyone's going to know there's a difference. For the fan experience, sometimes at Loftus Road isn't that great.
We've got a new stadium coming.
And so
I'll be dead before that ground's built. I said it on this podcast 3 years ago. That ground will not happen while I'm alive. Not in my lifetime.
No.
They tried to. They can't
don't-
even build a training
yeah.
ground. You're going to
On
build a
that
massive
site.
stadium
Yeah.
on a polluted brownfield site? I don't think so.
Oz End. Anything we haven't talked about you'd like to say, Paul? You usually like to thank someone who's provided you with goods or services, who's a random QPR
Well, like
fan.
Ridgewell Windows or something like that.
Yeah, those guys.
Is that the one that you sorted your back doors out, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and-
Ridgewell windows and
Easy
doors.
tiger.
Collins Motors has always sorted me van out, and God knows they got their work piled up with that one. No, actually, it's quite a weird one because atmosphere has been really odd this season, hasn't it? Really, I mean, it's not just me. Around the whole place, the ground. I just want to get back to a good atmosphere. It's annoying that it's not rocking like it used to, even in the days when we were.
I didn't even think it was that rocking for Chelsea for
No.
a Chelsea game.
Well, it was better than what it's been.
Not like in 2011. I remember it was electric walking in that 1-0.
But that was Warnock, just been promoted, club all together.
Hadn't
There's-
been it for a long time.
There's just a sort of resignation about the place.
I
Exactly.
think it's all the half and halves.
Do you know what?
Half and half
Them-
QPR Chelsea scarves. I wasn't on last week, but kill them with fire. Like,
I tried to throw one in the toilet. There's a guy having a piss beside me, and I was trying to grab it off him to throw it in the urinal because I wasn't having it like the Chelsea bit. Would have left the QPR bit alone. But even that was it QP Rangers as well.
I know.
My mate tried to burn one of his going past. It was quite funny. Anyway, the other thing, it puts things in perspective. I bumped into Paul Power on Saturday on the way to the game. His dad died a few weeks ago, and he used to meet him before matches in the White Horse and stuff like that there. And stupidly, I didn't know, and I sort of said to him, "Oh God, what do you think today?" sort of thing. And it was like, pff. And that sums it up really. Real life is out there. We just facing relegation. There's a guy that's got a real tragedy in his hands. So my thoughts to him and his family at this time as well. But that's all I want to say, basically.
My R's end is, can we just please beat Liverpool and Man City, and then just someone confirm that the moon is indeed made of blue cheese, and I'll be very happy with
Your
that.
R's end of the show is a cry out to God.
Yeah, basically,
Right, okay. Right, to
Yeah.
beat Liverpool and Man City.
who's been conspicuous by his absence for most of this season, it should be said. You know,
He appeared once last season in May, but for 45 years of my life, he's
listen,
been
like,
missing.
you know, one
it's
Sean
true.
Wright Phillips goal at Chelsea. That's wearing a bit thin now. We could do with something else.
Clive?
We're editing the photographs of the match on Saturday, as I do with my Sunday evenings. The picture of Charlie Austin's penalty, there are 31 supporters in view behind the goal. 15 of them are filming it on their mobile phones, including 4 lads on the front row who are clearly all together. So all 4 friends now have the same grainy 30-second clip of a Charlie Austin penalty miss. And I see this at concerts as well.
But when are you showing people
You go
that
to
video?
concerts?
Here's
You go to
Charlie
a
Austin taking a penalty that you could have seen on Match of the Day.
You go to a concert and you stand 80 yards away from the stage and you film the whole thing on your mobile phone, and the sound's too loud, so it's distorted, and it's too dark, so you can't see who's there. Who are these people and what is wrong with them? Why are we going around, let's get, a deep point. Why are we going around filming life in little
I've never had
30-second
anyone
clips?
say to me, I went to the game at the weekend, look at this clip that I got, and shown me something.
I
from the
fear
game.
for the first person that does say that to me.
I think it's called modern football and the Premiership. It will not.
And
be happening.
we come back to the T-shirt we started with.
That's one thing I won't miss, actually.
The sponsors would be very upset at you calling it the Premiership, by the way.
Good.
Barclays spend millions of pounds calling it the Premier League, not the Premiership.
Good.
That's
And
why
that-
I made that point.
To be
Good.
fair, I never banked with Barclays because of what they did in the 80s and
I
stuff.
think
I
we
once
should-
had a meeting with
We should
Barclays.
call it the Premiership on here from now on for that reason.
I
Exactly.
once had a meeting with a sponsor of the Premier League, who's a bank, who's got a blue logo, and I called it the Premiership, and they nearly frog marched me out the building for not calling it the Premier League.
I will adjust Loft for words and call it the Premiership from now on.
But going back to
Yeah,
that, that's one thing I won't
exactly.
miss. I won't miss the half and half scarves. People who clearly sit in the seats who don't give an absolute rat about what happens in the pitch, who are about 5 yards away from you half the time, don't care about the football club, don't get the atmosphere, don't get involved, and expensive away tickets. What I will miss is the money that my club and our club much need to keep going.
Well, you won't miss it,
and
but I know what you mean.
the fear of what's coming.
The only
There's always a fear of what's coming. Basingo comes in as player manager. Can you
Well,
imagine? No,
I'll
don't.
take that into a segue of the fear of what's coming. What's coming on May the 26th is our end of season live podcast. This is my R's end. We don't have all the details yet. We'll put them up online in the next week or so. But just to tip you off, we're going to have a live podcast. It's going to be at the Good Ship in Kilburn, Paul, with a bit of luck. We will have a special guest there. And all the ticket prices and how you can get tickets and everything like that will be on Twitter. So follow us on Twitter at QPR Pod. We've done it the last couple of years, gone down really well. A year ago we had Rodney Marsh and Kevin Gallen down. It was a brilliant night. It's going to be after the end of the season, so it will either be an end of season party or wake, depending on what happens. So we'll keep you posted and follow us on Twitter for that. Right.
But you should just turn up and thank David Fraser for everything he's done for the podcast.
Predictions for Saturday. Quick prediction for Saturday. Liverpool, Queen's Park Rangers. I'll go for 1-0 QPR.
Yeah, I was going to say 1-0 QPR. It's bound to happen. Reelers back in. Keep spending that money.
Chris?
Yeah, all right, I'll say 1-0 QPR then.
You've got to do it, Paul. You've got to do it. Come on.
No, I'm being a disgraceful fan. I'm not even going. I'm buggering off to Belfast.
What's the score, though?
And I'm going to
1-0.
be ashamed of myself because I would love to go, but that's another reason I hate it as well. Anfield. It's so plastic and so horrible. And
Score.
Answer the question, Paul.
I think we'll get a 1-1 draw.
Ooh. Well, that would just prolong
That's
the agony.
just enough to prolong the agony, isn't it? Yeah.
I think we'll score. I worry what they'll do.
Well, the important ones actually are probably the midweek ones, the day after tomorrow, aren't they? Hull are playing Liverpool.
Hull playing Liverpool and
Sunderland are playing someone.
Why are you still giving yourself hope?
All right. Sunderland are playing Arsenal.
and Leicester are
But
playing
why are you
Chelsea,
giving yourself
aren't they?
hope? The hope will kill you.
Yeah.
If it doesn't kill you, it's severely
That's
depressing.
the title of the podcast.
Right. The hope will kill you.
It's the hope that kills you.
Indeed. Thank you very much for listening. Next week is Bank Holiday Monday, so I don't think we'll be doing it on a Monday. We'll let you know on Twitter where and when we're doing it. Thank you for listening. This has been the QPR Podcast.
QPR, QPR, Queen's Park Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR, now we're heading for European Cup.
The QPR Podcast is a West 12 Media and Burble Media production.